How many times have you thought, why does this only happen to me? The pain when urinating, the burning sensation that bothers you every time you go to the bathroom, the feeling that you never manage to completely empty your bladder. If you've ever found yourself trapped in this endless cycle, know that you are not alone. And I need to tell you something that probably no one has ever had the courage to say. There is a vitamin widely consumed by seniors that may be behind this silent torture. It may sound strange to hear this, since vitamins always carry the idea of health, protection, and vitality. But when we talk about urinary health, urinary infections, and the delicate balance that exists between the kidneys and the bladder, even a popular nutrient can become an enemy. The problem is that almost no one talks about this risk, and many people keep consuming it without realizing the price they are paying. You may be asking yourself, but how can a vitamin cause pain and burning when urinating? That's exactly the answer we're going to uncover here. But I need you to stay with me until the end, because this is not a topic that can be addressed halfway. What's at stake is your quality of life, peaceful nights of sleep, the freedom to leave the house without fear of having to run to the bathroom, and most importantly, the chance to break the cycle of recurring urinary infection. This video is not just another theoretical explanation. It is an urgent warning for you who have tried everything: antibiotics, home remedies, liters of water a day, and still the urinary infection insists on coming back. Maybe the enemy isn't outside, but inside your own supplement cabinet. So stay with me. I will reveal which vitamin this is, explain why it irritates the bladder so much, and above all, show you how you can take action to stop being a hostage to this problem. Believe me, this detail might be the turning point you needed to regain control of your urinary health. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something very important. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers so that this channel can continue to grow and deliver serious information about urinary health to those who really need it. And for YouTube to share this video with more people, I need at least 100 comments. So here's what you can do. Subscribe right now and comment below the phrase, "I want my bladder healthy." This simple gesture can help change lives, including yours. Now let me show you why this topic is so urgent, especially for those over 60. When we talk about urinary health in older age, we are not just talking about comfort. We are talking about quality of life. A healthy bladder guarantees peaceful nights of sleep, reduces the risk of serious kidney complications, and even improves mood and energy throughout the day. The problem is that many seniors live in silence with symptoms they consider normal for their age. Waking up several times at night to urinate, feeling constant pain, or experiencing that sudden urgency that doesn't even allow time to reach the bathroom. But none of this is normal. These are warning signs from the body that something isn't right. And here comes a detail that few people consider. As the years go by, the body becomes more sensitive to certain nutrients and supplements. What once seemed harmless can now irritate the bladder, trigger inflammation, and even increase the risk of new urinary infection crises. That is why understanding the impact of this popular vitamin is so essential. Because taking care of urinary health is not just about treating the pain when it shows up, it's about prevention, correcting what is silently sabotaging your body, and regaining the confidence to live without fear of the next crisis. You may have noticed that when it comes to urinary infections, the most common answer doctors give is always the same. Take this antibiotic for a few days, and that's it. But anyone who has suffered from this knows it's not that simple. Often the pain comes back, the burning sensation reappears, and the urgency to run to the bathroom continues as if nothing had changed. It's a tiring cycle, and what few people mention is that this cycle can be fueled by factors far beyond bacteria. Few doctors talk about the influence of daily habits and, above all, of popular supplements and vitamins among seniors. Because in the rush of daily life, the focus ends up being only on putting out the immediate fire, treating the infection. But what happens to your body after the antibiotic is finished? Why do some seniors report that, even after taking care of themselves, the symptoms keep coming back? Here's the key point. There is a vitamin, widely consumed and considered harmless, that can irritate the bladder and overload the kidney. This is not an invention. It appears in studies and clinical reports, but it is rarely mentioned in quick appointment. After all, it's easier to prescribe a pill than to dig deeper into the root of the problem. I'm not saying supplements are bad. The problem lies in the excess, the lack of guidance, and the automatic consumption, as if something so healthy could never cause pain when urinating. This blind belief is one of the greatest dangers to urinary health. That is why it's essential to open your eyes and understand that not everything that seems helpful is really helping. Sometimes, what you believe is strengthening your body may actually be silently sabotaging your bladder. And this is what makes the subject so urgent. Without this knowledge, many people continue to suffer needlessly. Up to this point, you've already understood that the cause of pain or burning when urinating isn't always just bacteria. There is a hidden factor that may be slipping unnoticed in your daily routine, a very popular vitamin found in pharmacies, supermarkets, and even inside multivitamins that many seniors take every day without questioning. And here's the most curious thing. When it comes to supplements, most people think, oh, the more the better, it won't hurt. But that's not true. In the case of urinary health, this mindset can be a huge mistake. This vitamin, when consumed in excess, accumulates in the body and must be eliminated by the kidney. The result? Bladder irritation, increased urinary frequency, burning, and even crises that look like urinary infections, but are actually a direct reflection of this excess. Now let me ask you, how many times have you heard someone say they weren't feeling well, only to find out the problem came from something they thought was helping them? That's exactly the trap we're revealing here. What was supposed to be an ally for your health can, at certain doses, turn into a silent villain. And don't think this only happens to people who deliberately overdo it. Many times, someone takes a supplement on the recommendation of a friend, an ad, or even a professional who doesn't consider the individual sensitivity of each body. The result is that, without realizing it, you may be forcing your kidneys to work twice as hard and leaving your bladder increasingly vulnerable. That's why it's so important that you stay with me. Next, I'm going to explain exactly how this vitamin acts inside the body and why it can cause symptoms so similar to a urinary infection. This is the key for you to truly understand what's going on and finally get clarity about what may be sabotaging your urinary health. Now, we come to the point that can finally clear up what happens inside your body. You must be wondering, but how can a vitamin cause pain, burning, and symptoms so much like a urinary infection? The answer lies in the path it takes through the body. When you consume this vitamin in excess, the body cannot absorb it all. The surplus has to be eliminated, and the kidneys are the ones doing this heavy work. They filter the excess and flush it out through urine. So far, this seems normal, but the problem begins when this constant elimination irritates the bladder. Imagine the bladder as a sensitive sponge. Every time it receives this more concentrated urine, it's as if it were being burned from the inside, causing burning, urgency, and pain similar to that of an infection. This process is so deceptive that many people believe they are experiencing yet another urinary infection crisis. Take antibiotics. But in reality, what is happening is a direct reaction to the accumulation of this vitamin. And the worst part is that, since the body keeps receiving the supplement every day, the problem never truly goes away. The person enters an endless cycle of pain, frustration, and failed treatment. And there's more. Over time, this overload on the kidneys and bladder can weaken the natural defenses of the urinary system even further, making it easier for real bacteria to take hold. In other words, besides causing similar symptoms, the excess of this vitamin can actually open the door to real infection. Do you see how serious this is? What seemed to be just a harmless supplement can directly affect your quality of life. That's why it is so important to recognize these signs and understand that it's not just age or bad luck. It's a chemical and physiological detail that, when ignored, keeps silently sabotaging your urinary health. And I'm going to talk specifically about these warning signs the symptoms that should set off a red flag and make you think, could the problem be coming from what I'm taking every day? The first symptom is constant burning when urinating, that burning sensation that doesn't go away even after treatment, or that comes back quickly right after finishing antibiotics. That alone should set off an alarm. Another sign is urinary urgency. You suddenly feel the need to rush to the bathroom, but when you get there, only a few painful drops come out. This repeated pattern shows that the bladder is irritated, even without an active infection. It's also common to notice excessive urination, including at night. Waking up several times to urinate, interrupting sleep, is one of the most frequent complaints. And here's the detail. If your urine test doesn't show significant bacteria, but the symptoms persist, it's a strong sign that the cause may be metabolic, not infection. Some people also report pain in the lower abdomen or an uncomfortable pressure in the bladder region, even when no infection is diagnosed. It's as if the body were crying for help, signaling that something is inflamed internally. And finally, a classic sign: repeated crises at short intervals. If you feel like you treat it and it immediately comes back, it may not be bad luck, but rather an internal factor, like this vitamin in excess, perpetuating the discomfort. These are the signals that should grab your attention. And remember, the sooner you identify what is truly causing the problem, the greater your chances of avoiding future pain and even more serious kidney complication. You may be wondering, but does this really happen to me? Am I one of the people at risk? The answer depends a lot on who you are and how you are taking care of your health today. And here's the truth. Some groups are much more vulnerable to the effects of excess vitamin intake. The first group is seniors. Over the years, the body naturally becomes more sensitive. The kidneys no longer filter as before, and the bladder also loses some of its elasticity and ability to recover. This means that any excess, even of something that seems harmless, can have a much greater impact. The second group at risk is people who take multivitamins or supplements daily without medical supervision. It's very common to hear, "Oh, I take it because it's good for me," without knowing the exact dose needed or whether the body truly requires that amount. Self-medication, in this case, is one of the greatest villains of urinary health. Also on the front line are patients with a history of kidney problems. Those who have already had kidney stone, mild kidney insufficiency, or even past kidney infections must be extra cautious. The kidneys already function at a more delicate pace, and overloading them can open the doors to constant crises. And we can't forget those who already suffer from recurring urinary infection. These people often believe their bodies are weak or that they have a natural predisposition, but in reality, they may be feeding the problem daily with this vitamin hidden in their supplement. The big warning is this: what may be healthy for younger people or those without sensitivity can be harmful for those over 60, for those with a sensitive bladder, or for those already dealing with urinary problem. That's why it's critical to recognize if you belong to this risk group, because once you understand this connection, you can start acting before things get worse. One of the biggest traps with this vitamin is exactly this. The line between benefit and harm is very thin. In small doses, within what the body truly needs, it can be useful and even beneficial. But just one step beyond, and what seemed protective starts to turn into pain, burning, and repeated urinary infection crises. The human body doesn't work like an infinite storage tank. Each nutrient has an absorption limit. When you consume more than you need, the excess isn't saved for later. It has to be eliminated. And the ones paying the price are the kidneys and the bladder, overloaded with the task of flushing out what the body doesn't need. And this is where the danger lies. The excess vitamin is eliminated through urine, leaving the liquid more concentrated and irritating to the bladder. The result is a sensation very similar to a urinary infection, even if no bacteria are present. It's as if the bladder were constantly being attacked from within, slowly inflaming and becoming increasingly sensitive. Many people believe that if one dose is good, then double must be better. This thinking is extremely dangerous. With this vitamin, the difference between the right dose and excess can be just a few milligrams, and when consumption is daily, the buildup happens silently, without you noticing. That's why self-medication is so risky. What could be a health support ends up turning into fuel for painful urinary crises. And here's another detail. Each body reacts differently. What causes no issues for one person may be devastating for another, especially seniors or those with a history of sensitive bladders. That's why it's essential to understand that there is no universal and safe supplement for everyone. There is the right dose, individually adjusted for you, and anything beyond that can turn into poison for your urinary health. Now it's time to talk about what really matters, what you can start doing today to protect yourself. Because it's not enough to just understand the problem, you need to take action. And the first step is simple but powerful. Review the supplements you're taking. Carefully check the label of your multivitamin or isolated vitamin that you consume daily. See if it contains this vitamin in excess. Many times, without realizing it, you may be ingesting doses far above what your body really needs. The second step is to seek professional guidance. Don't keep taking supplements just because someone told you they're good for you. Each body is unique, especially after the age of 60. What may be healthy for your neighbor can be harmful to you. Talk to your doctor or nutritionist, explain the symptoms you're experiencing, and ask if they might be related to the supplement you're using. This conversation can save you months or even years of suffering. Another fundamental step is to reinforce habits that naturally protect your bladder. Staying well hydrated, avoiding holding in urine for too long, and maintaining a balanced diet make a real difference. Small adjustments, like reducing very acidic or irritating foods, can decrease bladder sensitivity and relieve symptoms. And of course, listen to your body's signals. If you've noticed that burning, urgency, or repeated crises don't match the results of your tests, don't ignore them. Many times, the body speaks before the numbers show anything. And here, I want to ask something important. If this video is making sense to you, comment below the phrase, "I choose to take care of my bladder." This gesture is not just support for the channel, which needs at least 100 comments for YouTube to deliver this warning to more people. It is also a personal commitment, a way of affirming to yourself that you will prioritize your urinary health. We've reached the end of this important conversation, and now you know that urinary health doesn't just depend on fighting bacteria with antibiotics. There is a silent enemy, hidden in something many believe to be harmless, a popular vitamin, consumed every day, that in excess can turn your bladder into a battlefield. How many times have you thought that pain when urinating, burning, and constant crises were just bad luck, or something inevitable with age? Today, you've seen that this isn't the case. Many of these situations can be linked to something simple: what you're consuming without realizing. The excess of this vitamin overloads the kidney, irritates the bladder, and creates symptoms identical to those of a urinary infection, even tricking tests and confusing diagnosis. The big lesson is clear. There is no universally safe supplement. There is the right dose, adjusted for you, and there is risk when that thin line is crossed. Understanding this can be the turning point between living in endless cycles of pain or regaining the peace that your urinary health deserves. It takes courage to see that sometimes what seems to be helping may be exactly what's harming you. And when you recognize the signs, you gain the power to change. Pain, burning, urgency to urinate. None of this is normal. Your body is talking to you, and now you have enough information to listen to these signals differently. Knowledge is the key. Once you understand what is happening, you can make better decisions, avoid unnecessary crises, and give yourself the chance to live with more peace without the fear of the next infection. Urinary health is not a detail. It is an essential part of your quality of life, and every step you take to care for it is also a step toward regaining your confidence, your peace, and your freedom.